I guess I'm not going to be speaking so much today about our network. Yesterday, I know you had a lot of discussions about broadband networks, and all I would say about our broadband network is it's good enough to deliver TV to about 93% of homes in Hong Kong. So it's good enough, and it's getting better all the time. But what I was going to do today is much more, and I think it's probably a segue between what we were talking about yesterday with broadband and networks into how, just as PCCW has transformed from being a pure telco play to a telco and media play, how today's conference is going into more to do with content than it was yesterday in terms of networks and such. This has been our roadmap for the last 7 years. We started 7 years ago with the concept of having multiple devices, having access to multiple types of content and applications and transactions through different types of access networks. So in those days, it just said in this box here, content, applications, and transactions. And this diagram has evolved, but the concept has always been there. Most of our presentations for 7 years have had this diagram in some shape or form. And it's basically said, this is where the new revenue is going to come from. We were faced with the fact that the cable company was getting into telecoms, that there's so many competitors in Hong Kong for basic access, for broadband, for telephony, that whilst we could defend our position and maybe try to maintain market share, we were never going to grow our revenues any further than what we were already getting. So the new growth has to come from content, transactions, and other things that we can do over the network rather than from the network. So this has been our roadmap. Also, I'd like to point out that when we say we have a Quadplay service, it really is a multi-device, multi-screen type service. Many telcos around the world say they have a triple play or a quad play, but what they really mean is that they sell a they sell a TV service, they sell an an internet service, they sell a telephone service, and they sell a mobile service, where for us the quad play is really making the same content available on all of the platforms. And you can see some examples of that at the back there today. Also, you can see now that we have a serious overlap between our mobile subscribers and our broadband subscribers in terms of who they are. And Now TV, getting started in the TV business, was really the starting point to allow us to move into putting content on other platforms. So this was the keystone of a wider strategy. And we started off by having a sales strategy where an existing broadband customer could then get a set-top box, and this cross-selling from broadband to TV was a very powerful tool for us. Now, of course, we have the content and we have the TV. It's how we can cross-sell back to all the other platforms, the mobile TV platforms, the multimedia devices that we have in the home, and onto the internet platform. So it taught us how to obtain and manage content, and now we can move it onto other platforms and hopefully expand this sweet spot in the middle here of people who have multiple screens, multiple devices. And on the Now TV side, we're now in over 40% of homes in Hong Kong. We have over 1 million customers. At one time, about 3 years ago, we were probably the largest commercial deployment in the world. We now can really only say that we have the largest penetration in the world, because other places like France or USA have got millions of customers now, but still only probably 4 or 5% of population penetration. The concept of the quad play has really paid dividends for us. Even right back 6 years ago, 7 years ago, when we started, we found that launching the TV service halved our churn on broadband. Also helped us to maintain the ARPU, the revenue per user, for our broadband. So in each case, by having this cross-selling capability and using the content as a stickiness retainer for those services, it's really a lot of benefits for the company. And it's also allowed us to move into new areas, not just content, but advertising as well. It also helped us when we acquired Sunday in 2006 and we launched the 3G service. The content element of this has helped us to have some pretty good growth in our mobile business too. And overall to the company, it's made some dramatic difference to our core business. People ask us whether the pay TV business is profitable and has as Vivek said, it's taken us a number of years to become profitable on a standalone basis, but the benefits that we've had to the broadband service through the reduction of churn and the maintenance of ARPU, and in fact growing the market generally, has been much bigger than that. So where do we go from here? There are a number of challenges that I wanted to just touch on today. We don't have a lot of time, but I want to talk about delivering the high quality of content to mobiles. Not an easy task, and certainly something we have to contemplate going forward because of the bandwidth constraints of mobile. Beyond TV content to interactive services, other devices for the home networking. The challenges that we have to face in repurposing content to fit different types of screens and different types of technologies or media player technologies. And then, of course, how we embrace the over-the-top providers which are coming along and, as Vivek pointed out, are growing very dramatically. And then lastly, what we can do to add value to the content providers by better knowledge of the customer and some of the things that we can do in terms of repurposing and customer knowledge in terms of adding that value. So the first part, introducing mobile TV has actually had some great benefits. You can see that for those that subscribe to our high-definition sports channels on the mobile TV, we now get about 400 minutes of use by those customers. Mainly, it typically serves for a Saturday evening. They want to watch the English Premier League soccer. It's a Saturday night. They're out for dinner. They can't get home in time. They'll watch the first 20 minutes on here, and then when they get home, they'll swap over to the normal TV. And that's been the main usage of this 400 minutes is that type of customer profile. Secondly, you can see that what we talk about here with 90% attachment rate is that anyone who subscribes to a package from us, depending on the size of the voice package, number of minutes, gets a choice of various services. And 90% of those customers will choose the mobile TV package as part of that service. So it is an attractive selling point in selling the overall mobile phone package. And then, of course, music has become quite a major part of the mobile proposition as well. So we've had some good performance in this too. A little bit technical, but I'll try and keep it simple. One of the problems that we've had, of course, is how we deliver mobile TV, given the constraints of the bandwidth on 3G. And one of the things that we've done in PCCW, which is fairly unique, is that we have connected together our 6,000 Wi-Fi hotspots to our 3G network via an authentication platform that uses the SIM card inside the mobile phone, and assuming that the mobile phone has built-in Wi-Fi as well, then when we select the mobile TV on here, the first thing it will do is look for a Wi-Fi hotspot so we can offload the traffic to Wi-Fi instead of having to use this more valuable and constrained 3G network and make that more available for people who want to do data access from their mobile PCs or whatever. So that's been quite unique in helping us to manage the traffic so far. But it continues to grow. And so we've done lots of trials of DVBH and media flow because the problem with the mobile network is that in its normal form, using unicast technologies, we can only deliver to about between 6 and 12 handsets in a cell in the mobile network. So if you're somewhere like down on the MTR railway, that's not enough. And so we're now looking towards what's coming out of some of the technologies of 3G. There's a technology called IMB, or what used to be called MBMS, which is a broadcasting service which will allow us to broadcast within the 3G spectrum. And we do have some spare spectrum in that 3G spectrum by which we can broadcast. And that should, again, help us to alleviate the strains that we and other mobile operators find on the 3G network because of the high growth of data usage. The other thing that it's enabled us to do, because we're a two-way service in every element, whether it's the TV or whether it's the mobile phone or whether it's the multimedia devices, it's enabled us to move into a lot of interactive services. And this has helped us to grow our advertising revenue and also to introduce services such as being able to check stock prices and buy stock on the platforms, order food, order cinema tickets, even choose the seat, and even have the ticket delivered as a multimedia barcode to your mobile phone so it can be scanned in the cinema. So it's enabled us to introduce a lot of new interactive services, video on demand, and then, of course, taking those services to all the different advertisers. And one of the areas that's really performed well for us is Yellow Pages. We've always been a Yellow Page provider, but it's taken the pretty dull printed Yellow Page book and made it more dynamic. And now when you go on the TV and you go into the Yellow Pages, you can look up property prices, transactions, advertisements from estate agents, with including guided tours of the homes that are for sale and other things. So it's turned Yellow Pages into a much more dynamic service and enabled us to resell and resell and resell the advertising on multiple platforms. In terms of devices, of course, we've seen some gaps in the home where people, especially in Hong Kong, where homes are quite small, to be able to have second and third screens in the home. And we've approached that in two ways. One is what we call the i, and not the iPhone, by the way, which is really a handset with some multimedia capability. And then we have i2, which is basically a multimedia device with some telecoms capability. So they all have video conferencing capability and can carry our Now TV service as well as the Move music services that we have and other interactive services as well. So this has been quite a useful addition and works very well in bedrooms for kids that can send the kids off to the bedroom to watch some cartoons, or in the kitchen, and we have quite a raft of recipes and other types of services for places like the kitchen. The other interesting point is that we have a plug-in Octopus card reader, and I think this is the only way that a consumer at home can check on the spending of the kids. You can put the Octopus card on here, and it'll tell you on here the list of all the different transactions. They've been in 7-Eleven, they've been on the MTR. They can actually track their kids with that. So that's quite a useful device. Also, in terms of multiple devices, we've been putting what we call our virtual set-top box now into devices such as the Sony PS3, and the i2 device also has the same virtual set-top box capability in it. So really taking it to multiple devices. As part of that, as a telco, this is what is the interesting part for us, is that more and more devices in the home are networked, are connected. It's really extending the telecoms network into the home. And we, as a telco and a media provider, are taking a fairly significant role in the home. So we have the home gateway, which is the ADSL modem. We then have the TV service with the set-top box. We have the i2, which is connected by Wi-Fi. So we are really already managing the customer's home network to a large extent. As time goes on, he will have access to other types of devices which are Wi-Fi enabled. I've even seen one where you can actually, from a remote location, feed the cat via Wi-Fi. And you see, got these media devices here which can plug in. And for most people, they're not capable of managing a home network. It's a very technological advanced thing for lay people to do. So we see this whole area as an opportunity to help customers not only manage their home network, but also managing the content coming in, which might be the Now TV content coming into the home, managing the content going out of the home, which might be home movies and photographs which are on the media server. And in doing so, how do we protect them from unauthorized access to their home networks? And then lastly, managing content in the home and around the home when it goes from the media servers and is distributed to digital picture frames or music players or other TVs in the house. So we see this as a growth area for us in helping customers manage the service. Then we come on to the challenges of repurposing the content for all these different screens. And you can see here, this is a current snapshot of how much we have to repurpose content. We've got Now TV in high definition. We've got the multimedia device. We have mobile TV in standard definition, mobile TV in high definition, and then we have Now TV to the PCs. And in each case, we go through a different set of conditional access, different coding standards, different encoders, and different bit rates to deliver to those devices. Now, that seems like a challenge, and it is, but it's also an opportunity as we see it when we start to have to deal with the over-the-top providers, because I don't think a lot of these over-the-top providers that are sending content from some other part of the world would want to have to go through detecting what type of device the customer is using and how to deliver the right format for the content. And it's something that we as a telco, something that we who have the customer as the last mile provider can do for those people, and we hope that we can start to add value to the over-the-top providers in this respect. Well, this is just a snapshot of our playout, and you see this is the playout to the I, playout to the 3G over here, and then the general playout of IPTV to the general set-top boxes around Hong Kong in our head end. So what about the over-the-top providers? We have to embrace these providers, but they've got their own challenges as well. The way I look at this with the over-the-top providers is that they've already tried to make a business out of advertising-supported content. I think we've seen now, even yesterday, Hulu have announced that they're going to start and charge a premium service for their content. But the way I look at it is if they become a subscription provider of content, what are they? They're a pay TV service. And as far as I can see, if we're a pay TV operator in Hong Kong and they're a pay TV operator in the USA trying to be a pay TV operator in Hong Kong, we must be able to do a better job than they do. All right? I think there's a good example of this whole concept of how we, with our direct marketing, our selling, our knocking on doors, our promoting locally, should be able to do things much better for the over-the-top than they can do themselves from overseas. We saw the other day that Google have now withdrawn selling their Nexus 1 phone over the internet, direct to consumer. It's not working for them. They can't promote it like they can allow the shops to promote it for them. And that's a big difference. And so I think that's something we should play on and use that as our strengths in trying to provide, again, more benefits to the content provider. If a content provider tries to go that way, what is he going to do? If he's a real top-tier content provider, he's going to be swapping pay TV dollars for internet cents. And I think what we've got to do is try and provide a whereby they can come to us, we can give them better quality of delivery, we can give them better services, better knowledge of the customer, and do the selling for them, and return them a higher revenue than they could do over the internet, and therefore protecting their existing revenue. So I think this is something that we can do to protect the content providers and to protect our pay TV business. In terms of protecting the pay TV business, we really you can look at the long tail of content in three distinct areas as we see it. You have the high definition, real-time, mass market, local language supported content, which is mass market here. And we can defend that quite well because it's local to us and we can do deals with the content providers directly and we can produce our own content. And we can continue to be the player in this area of the long tail of content. Over here, of course, you've got the more tolerable definition quality, the internet best efforts quality, over here of things like YouTube and Hulu, etc. And then in the middle, you have this competition zone that you call it, where there are certain niche market contents. I think a good example that I always use is Indian cricket. We do very well with Indian cricket here, where people can watch it on our service. They can still watch it on the internet. They can still watch it for free, possibly. Not so good definition. But we do very well out of it here because we offer a very good service, very good quality TV. And that is the area where you can pick up quite a bit of revenue from doing niche market content. And IPTV is ideal for doing niche market content as well as mass market content. So we know where we play, we know where we can defend, we know where we compete, and we know where we have to embrace the over-the-top providers and try and provide them with a service as well. But that assumes one major thing, and that is we assume no piracy. Right? This is a growing problem, especially over the internet, and we have to accept no piracy, and we have to try and do something about this. And interestingly enough, I think the regulators across the world have to get together and do something about this. It's a chicken and egg situation. I had a discussion with some folks from Singapore a couple of days ago, and they thought it was up to the content providers to do something about it. And if they did something about it, then maybe the regulators could step in and do something about it as well. But it needs somebody to grasp this by the horns and do something with it. Because the technology does exist now that if the content provider locks up his content and digitally puts a signature or some sort of watermark or fingerprint on the technology, there are deep packet inspection technologies now that can detect this, and then we can make a decision whether to kill it or whether to warn them or do something with it, but at least be able to track it, detect it, and then act on it. And I think the first step for me would be that the regulators come up with standards for doing this, and then just say to the content providers, look, if you lock your content up to these standards, then these methods are in place to take care of it. It's something that really needs to be taken care of. It's a good example of this. I'm just trying to think of a good example that I can give you. No, I'll come back to me in a minute. So anyway, the technology exists to do it. If we could do this on our ISP now, we could detect the services, and we could say to content providers, give us a watermark to look for. We can look for it. The only trouble with us doing it ourselves as an ISP is that when we do that, the customer is just going to move to another ISP. So we really need to have something which is more coordinated across the whole of Hong Kong, and so maybe doing the detection at a national level where the internet comes into Hong Kong, do the inspection there. That needs coordination, and that's a role for the regulators, I think. So I don't think we can do anything about existing content that's out there, but I would say that even if it's come off a set-top box in China and then been put onto the internet, some of these technologies can actually identify watermarks after they've been decoded from digital to analog and then put back to digital again. So I mean, it is possible to do these types of detection. And then, of course, if you did end-to-end camera-to-couch encryption and DRM entitlement, then the last mile pay TV operator is the best person to unlock that encryption as well as we try and make it even more secure. So my last slide really says, what else can we do to offer something to the over-the-top providers to get them to come and work with us, and also how we can better sell our content across multiple screens. And this is the concept of gathering data about the customer. So where is he? What is he watching? What device is he using? So we can repurpose the content and do other things. And I guess what we're trying to do here is, supposing a customer at the moment has CNN. He has to subscribe to CNN on his mobile phone. He has to subscribe to CNN on his pay TV. What if we could give him a single subscription that he could watch anywhere, on his mobile TV, on his TV at home, on his PC? But for us, that would have to mean that he could only watch it in one place at the same time in order to manage that subscription. Now, it sounds like an easy thing to do, but underlying that is that need to be able to collect from across the network what we call a dynamic customer profile. Where is he? What is he doing? What is he watching? So when he requests to watch CNN on his mobile, it can give him a message to say someone at home is watching CNN already. If he wants to watch CNN on his mobile, then he needs a second subscription to do it. So that's the type of thing that this would enable you to do from a content management point of view. But at the same time, knowing where the customer is in the network enables you also to deal with targeted advertising and other services, which the over-the-top providers might want to do as well. So it gives us some other advantages because we have the direct contact with the last mile with the customer. And that's where I see the next challenge for us to develop this. It's not easy to do. It's not going to happen in the next couple of years, but we are working on it to try and get to that situation. And that's all I wanted to say today. Thank you.